The movie begins with a man caught late at night cutting the heads off parking meters with a pipe wrench. His name is Lucas Jackson. The police find him drunk and arrest him on the spot. He does not resist, he just smiles like a man who does not care what happens next. Luke arrives at a rural prison camp under a hot southern sun. The captain reads his charge aloud, destroying municipal property while under the influence. 2 years. Luke shrugs and says that is not much time at all. The captain leans in close. He tells Luke to call him captain and the guard's boss. He says he can be a good guy or a mean one. It is all up to Luke. There is a quiet threat behind every word. The captain warns Luke about trying to escape. If he gets rabbit in his blood and runs, he gets more time and a set of leg chains. Luke nods. He listens, but he does not look afraid. Carr, the floor walker, recites the camp rules to the new men. Forget your number, lose your spoon, fight in the building, miss your bunk. Any rule broken means a night in the box. There are dozens of rules, and every single one leads to that small isolation cell. At the first meal, Luke sits in another prisoner's seat by mistake. A massive inmate named Dragline glares at him. Luke says he did not know it was a special seat. He does not back down. The tension is immediate. Dragline tells Luke he has no name here until Dragline gives him one. The men test every new arrival with pranks and bets. Luke watches and listens. He does not seem impressed by any of it. Something about this man is already different. The first workday is brutal. The men must dig and clear ditches under a blazing sun. A prisoner offers to sell Luke his broom job for $1. It sounds like an easy way out of the ditch. Luke pays up without hesitation. Luke walks to the guard and explains he bought the broom job, but there are no brooms. The whole thing was a joke played on the new man. Luke argues about the fake deal and the guard shoves him toward the ditch. That night, Luke is thrown into the box on his very first day. The other prisoners think he is soft and will not last a week, but Luke never complains. He takes his punishment in silence and comes out the next morning as if nothing happened. Dragline says Luke is not in the box because of the joke. He is there because he talked back to a free man. There are their rules and the guard's rules, and Luke has to learn the difference fast. One afternoon, a young woman named Lucille washes a car in full view of the working crew. She wears a tight dress held by a single safety pin. Every prisoner stares and whispers. Dragline claims her as his own private fantasy. Dragline talks about Lucille nonstop until the men get sick of it. A fight breaks out among the prisoners. The guards break it up fast, but the whole scene shows how starved these men are for any glimpse of the outside world. Dragline picks a fight with Luke. The big man is twice Luke's size and pounds him into the dirt. The men form a circle and shout. Luke gets up. Dragline knocks him down again. Luke gets up again, beaten and bloody. The men shout at Luke to stay down. He is bruised and bleeding and his face is swelling. But every time Dragline hits him, Luke stands right back up. The men who once mocked him now watch in awe. Luke looks Dragline in the eye and says he will have to kill him. The fight only ends when Luke's body simply cannot rise anymore. But he never quit. He never stayed down. Every man in the camp now respects him. Remember this moment. Luke took the worst beating possible and never once stopped getting up. This is the first sign of something the system will never be able to control, but the real test is still coming. That night, Luke plays poker with the men. He bluffs with a worthless hand and bets everything he has. One by one, the other players fold. Luke wins the entire pot, holding absolutely nothing. Dragline stares and says Luke beat him with nothing, just like in the fight. Luke smiles and says sometimes nothing can be a real, cool hand. Dragline gives him his name right there. From now on, he is Cool Hand Luke. Luke's mother, Arletta, comes to visit. She is sick and knows she does not have long. She tells Luke he is not alone. She says she will always be with him, no matter where he goes or what he does. Arletta says she will be dead before Luke gets out, so his choices after that will not matter to her. She talks about his father, a man who never stayed around but made her laugh until the end. Luke listens quietly. He tells Arletta he tried to live free and above board like her, but he could never find the elbow room. He says he has to love her and let go. There is something broken in his voice he never shows the men. Luke says goodbye and tells her there is nothing left to come back for. Arletta smiles and tells him he will make it. But this visit plants something deep inside Luke. Remember this moment. It will drive everything he does from here on. The captain gives the crew a long road to Tar. It is supposed to take all day, but Luke pushes the men to work as fast as they possibly can. He turns the grueling labor into a race against the sun. The crew finishes the entire road with 2 hours of daylight still left. The guards stand around confused with nothing to do. Luke has shown the men they can beat the system by outworking it. The men laugh and cheer his name. Luke bets he can eat 50 eggs in 1 hour. Nobody believes it is possible. The men wager everything they have. Every prisoner in the camp puts money on the line. The bet becomes the biggest event the camp has ever seen. Luke sits down and forces egg after egg into his mouth while the men count and cheer. His belly swells to a ridiculous size. He looks like he might burst at any moment. The whole camp watches in a mix of horror and delight. With minutes to spare, Luke swallows the final egg. He wins the bet. He is now a legend among the men, but his rise has only set the stage for something much darker. Luke's story is about to take a turn no one expects. Weeks pass with Luke on top of the prison world. Then word arrives that his mother has passed. That night, Luke sits alone outside the bunkhouse and plays a slow song on his banjo. The men listen in silence from their beds. Luke is smiling, but something inside him has broken. The one person who loved him unconditionally is gone. There is nothing left for him on the outside. The question now is whether Luke will keep playing by the rules or burn everything down. Luke walks to the fence and cuts through it. He runs into the dark woods. The dogs and guards chase him through the swamps and fields. He almost makes it to freedom, but they track him down within hours. The captain drags Luke back in chains. He stands the men in formation and makes an example of him. What they have here, the captain says, is failure to communicate. Luke gets leg chains and more time added to his sentence. The captain tells Luke his mind needs to get right, but Luke just looks at him with that same calm smile. The leg chains slow him down, but they do not change what is burning inside him. The system is trying to break him, and Luke is not even close to broken yet. Luke escapes a second time. He makes it farther than before and steals a vehicle to cover more ground. But the guards track him down again and drag him back. They add more chains and more years to his sentence. As punishment, the captain orders Luke to dig a hole, then fill it, then dig it again. For hours, Luke digs and fills the same ditch under the hot sun while the guards sit in the shade and watch. The other men watch from a distance in horror as Luke's body starts to break down. Luke finally collapses in the dirt. He crawls to the captain's boots and begs him to stop. He says his mind is right now. He says he will follow every rule. The captain smiles. He believes the spirit is finally broken. Luke becomes the perfect prisoner. He follows every rule without question. He smiles at the guards and does his work without complaint, but remember his eyes. Something is still burning behind them. No one can tell if the fire is truly out or just hiding, waiting for the right moment. The captain decides Luke is broken enough to be transferred to another camp. Luke is loaded into a truck with a small escort. For the first time in months, Luke is outside the fences. The road stretches out ahead of him, and the fire in his eyes is still there. Luke makes one last break for freedom. He jumps from the truck and runs. This time, Dragline breaks free and runs with him. The two men steal cars and dodge police roadblocks side by side. For the first time, Luke is not running alone. The chase is intense. Roadblocks spring up everywhere. Police dogs bark in the distance. Luke and Dragline push through fields and back roads, staying just ahead of the posse, but the net is closing around them with every mile. They hide inside an abandoned church in the countryside. Luke talks to God, asking what he should do with his life. He wonders if God has a plan for him or if he is just passing time. The dogs and sirens grow louder outside. Dragline tells Luke to give up and let the law take him back alive. But Luke knows there is no going back. He has pushed too hard and run too far. The only way forward is through that door, and he knows what is waiting on the other side. Luke steps toward the door of the church. Boss Godfrey, the silent guard who never speaks a word to anyone, is waiting outside with his rifle raised. Luke looks at him and smiles one last time. Godfrey fires a single shot. Luke falls to the floor of the church. Dragline charges Godfrey in a blind rage. He grabs the rifle from the guard's hands and swings it at him, but the other guards open fire from all sides. Dragline falls wounded on the church floor beside his friend. Luke lies on the cold floor looking up at the ceiling of the old church. He whispers that he has finally found his elbow room. A faint smile crosses his face one last time, then his eyes close and cool hand. Luke is gone. Back at the camp, the men hear the news in heavy silence. Dragline, wounded but alive, tells them Luke was a natural-born world shaker. He shook the world, and the world shook back. The men sit quietly, knowing they will never see another man like him. The camp goes on. The rules stay the same. The box waits for the next man who breaks them, but something has changed in every prisoner who knew Luke. They carry his memory like a quiet rebellion no guard can ever put in chains.